All right, man. I'm hyped. Let's go, man. I'm ready to rock out. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This is a dope video, man. We got some dope TikTok conspiracy videos, man. Man, some stuff that's just gonna just make you think. You know what I'm saying? This rabbit hole crazy. This rabbit hole crazy, dog. I don't know why I'm so hyped today. I guess it's because it's a sunny day. It's a good day out there. I hope it's a good day for y'all. But anyway, man, let's get to some of these TikTok videos. Let's go down this rabbit hole. I appreciate y'all rocking with me. Please like, please subscribe, please share. All right, no more time to waste. Let's go.
Heard the theory of the Titanic and the Federal Reserve? Well, here it goes. So on the Titanic, there's some extremely wealthy passengers like J.P. Morgan, John Rockefeller, and the Rothschilds. But then you have Jacob Astor, the wealthiest man in the world at the time. He owned about 40% of all mortgages, and he was a Freemason who was very opposed to the idea of a central bank. Whereas J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and Rothschild strongly supported the idea of a central bank. So Jacob Astor was the only one standing in the way of a central bank at the time. Coincidentally, the morning the Titanic was supposed to set sail, J.P. Morgan, some Rothschilds, and others quietly exited the ship without any explanation. 5 days later, Titanic slams into an iceberg and it starts to sink. And even though Jacob Astor is the wealthiest man in the world, he still can't find a seat in a lifeboat, and he ends up sinking with the ship. Shortly after, these guys become the wealthiest men in the world, and without Jacob Astor standing in their way, the next year in 1913, on Jekyll Island in Georgia, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law, paving the way to print money out of thin air and completely control our monetary system.
Whoa. Man, I've been hearing thoughts about the Titanic not being real as far as the iceberg thing, but that's crazy. Oh man. Hey, if I would have seen them getting off the boat, I would have been focusing, paying attention. I'd be like, oh, y'all getting off the boat? Okay, I'm getting off the boat too. Y'all already don't like me. So, sheesh.
Was this a coincidence or a conspiracy?
Apparently, the states captured a vampire and tried to keep it a secret. On October 1st, an explorer discovered something the world will never forget. John Holliday was an urban explorer from Dallas. He had heard about an abandoned prison that had closed in 1975 and wanted to explore the site. What he would discover that day, you won't believe. So listen, John walked for nearly an hour through the forest until he arrived at a large rusty fence with barbed wire. Carefully, he made his way through a hole in the fence and headed towards the entrance of the prison. He spent several hours exploring the site until he finally came across a door labeled solitary. He opened the door without knowing the extraordinary discovery that awaited him. Upon entering, he noticed a trail of blood on the floor, leading to a cell at the end of the hallway. He approached the cell and saw a large sign that said, "Vampire inside, do not open." The cell door was solid metal and had a small slot that could be opened for a feeding tray. Curious, he knocked on the door but received no response. He decided to open the small slot and suddenly a hand rushed out trying to grab him. So the last thing he saw was a set of fangs and eyes looking at him as he ran quickly out of the building. John just uploaded his GoPro video a day ago, but TikTok removed it.
Well, I actually have a picture on my cell phone of two actual ETs.
Okay, do you have these pictures right now?
Yeah.
Can you show them on the camera?
Oh, I'd have to fish them out, but yeah, they're pretty amazing, actually. So this is one, and you know, he very triangular shaped head, almost like a beak-like face. It was at an event we did out in the Arizona desert a couple years ago. There were about 30 witnesses to this. This photograph was taken with a really good Nikon camera. So a person took a picture of it. Now this was under low light conditions, but it's very clear what it is, and it's an extraterrestrial being that's sort of levitating, floating out in the desert just outside our circle. So yeah, we have a lot of unusual material.
UFO enters the ocean and scuba divers followed it. You'll never believe what they caught on camera. 4 scuba divers were in the Bahamas when they saw a UFO enter the ocean next to their boat. Fascinated by the opportunity presented, the men decided to follow it. And this is what they saw. This is fantastic footage and a fantastic story, but there are some red flags. The witness statements were sketched. They only described the events leading up to the UFO entering the ocean, not them actually swimming near it. I also wasn't able to find any police records of the incident, which is weird because you would think that they would have reported this to the authorities.
Check this video out, y'all. Apparently, these are 11-foot tall Nordics who came and visited Russia. The guy in the background is a Russian foreign intelligence agent who is explaining what's going on in this video right here. Take a listen to this and let me know what y'all think in the comments, alright?
11 foot, huh?
4 feet above him, so he naturally saw the very web extensions, but as you can see there is no web extensions present, just 5-inch tall shoes. Everybody else was thinking there were very web extensions under the dresses, but Lieutenant had a genuine shock when he saw no extensions. Then FSB Kavanagh approached him and said that they have full clearance to enter the Kremlin and no further security checks are necessary. The lieutenant said they were even moving strangely, semi-floating in the air, and said that there is no...
So what do you guys think about this video? They look like they are moving in uniform. He also states that the way that they move, they look like they are floating. They look like
they got like a graceful ass walk.
It doesn't look like they have extensions on their legs. Wow. So let me know what y'all think about this video.
If the universe is really 13.8 billion years old, shouldn't there be aliens everywhere? And if not, why not? I think it was Carl Sagan who said that there's either a lot of aliens or no aliens. Either one is equally terrifying. Meaning if there are no aliens, then what we have here is very rare. Now, a lot of people ask me, like, what about the aliens? Have you seen any evidence of aliens? I've seen no evidence of aliens.
What about these Pentagon videos?
So, like, I mean, there's like advanced programs that the military has which are classified, and they wouldn't. So, you know, if they had like some really fast missile or something, they even if somebody else in the military saw that, then they would still not tell them what it was.
Somebody got some explaining to do. You see this? This the new Aquaman movie. It literally just came out a few days ago, and they done put the entire truth about aliens, reptilians, and Atlanteans in this movie right in our faces, and even Antarctica ice wall. And if you stay tuned, I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about.
This was all probably solid ice until we started heating the planet.
Well, thank God for global warming, am I right?
Yeah, that's not exactly a good thing.
Look at all that ice. Damn, what? Inside the Antarctica wall, I was in that movie theater yelling. If this ain't the truth?
Sort of.
Wait, the tracks lead down there, which means the monster's down there.
And what's the monster? That's what they was talking about in that movie. It's like they're showing us all of this shit before 2024. It's like they want you to know exactly what's been happening, but without having to tell you and cause a mass panic. But in that movie, you seen the scientists were down there in the ice wall in Antarctica digging up artifacts for the villain. And let me show you the villain that I'm talking about. This man right here, he came across this pitchfork that was some type of psychic connection to this demon lord that was frozen in the underworld, who was connected to the Lost Kingdom. This is the Aquaman, and I'm gonna also show you who he represents, but this is who that black dude represented. And you see how they try to play a role, switch the color role type shit when they show us this shit in the movie? Yeah, other way around. But anyways, this is the reptilian king that was linked to that pitchfork that was controlling the black man, telling him to do everything to try to kill the Atlantean king, which was trying to keep him in his place, to keep the balance and the powers in the world. He wanted to cause one world mass destruction order, and he wanted to turn everybody using his black magic into monsters and versions of him. If that ain't at its finest, these type of people, you know, I don't know what it is. I'm just saying, I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot, don't shoot. They thought we didn't know? You already knowing.
What we've come to learn, the Greys can make blonde bodies and reptile bodies and project themselves into the blondes of the reptiles. The reptiles can make blondes and gray bodies and project themselves into the blonde and the gray bodies. The blondes can make the reptilian bodies and the gray bodies and project themselves into it. And he said, Linda, what I've just said to you is the key to the history of this planet.
Right.
That the competing extraterrestrials can camouflage as each other's enemies.
Right, and that...
Yeah, Naki right there. Reptilian. Grave. What's that little yellow thing down there at the bottom?
There's a city called Derinkuyu, Turkey. They created the most elaborate group of underground cities in the world. These people knew that these events were so catastrophic they could wipe out their entire civilization. So they created the most elaborate group of underground cities in the world, creating air shafts, areas to even bring animals down, areas for sleeping, areas for schools. It's so advanced that they have this gigantic round stone they had to roll in front of the door in order to seal off what was inside.
How did they get down there?
They carved the entire thing by hand.
By hand?
By hand. It could house over 20,000 people.
But how do you get down there?
You walk down these stairs that go down to the ground, and like I said, at the entrance to this entire city, or there were many cities, not just one, Derinkuyu is just the biggest, they have this massive multi-ton stone that they would roll in front of the door and seal the entire underground area for sometimes, are you ready for this? Potentially hundreds of years. They had to live down there, potentially for hundreds of years. It means entire generations had to live down there. I don't think the Pope is the highest individual there at the Vatican.
What makes you think that?
A lot of individuals that have studied this very extensively, and I'm somewhat one of them, that believes that even presidents and the Pope are all just puppets. I think that things are changing in a way that they haven't really been before. We haven't had all this technology and all these things, and eventually information's gonna get out enough, that 1% we talked about, to shift that collective.
What does that do?
What happens is, imagine humanity is like a singular organism, if in terms of consciousness, and we have what's called a collective consciousness. It means that we all live in a reality together, right? And we share ideas, but there's this driving direction of humanity based on the average amount of people that believe in something similar. The average person goes to work and gets up, pays their bills, and I think that whole thing though is shifting. I think we should stop comparing to what hasn't happened before. Like, the Vatican Archives hasn't released anything, and they're powerful, and how can they not be that in the future? We need to not measure the future based on only the past.
Why do you think Admiral Byrd and the Rockefellers were so much more interested in Antarctica, the South Pole, rather than the North Pole?
Yeah, there's an incredible story that was in Admiral Byrd's diary that was found by his kids, where he said he flew into an area that opened up at Antarctica, and he went into an area where it was lush and tropical almost. And as he got into this area, this is according to his own diary, people can look this up, something took over his plane, and these two UFO-type craft, circular craft, flying saucers, came, and it took over his craft, and it guided him in to this area where they landed. And then they took him to meet somebody that he calls in his diary the Master. Pretty interesting story. This Master told him that they were wary of the nuclear bombs that had just, been utilized, dropped the nuke on Japan and so forth, and they were wary of our experimentation with nuclear devices and wars because they're sharing this planet as well.
We really need to, we should be.
That in fact, being face-to-face meetings between United States officials and extraterrestrials from other star systems. I have reports of several species that are here and have bases here. There's one species that looks something like a praying mantis. And then the short grays are the ones that you see in the cartoons.
Yeah.
The tall grays look much different. They look more like humans. And the Nordic blondes, for example, are so similar to humans that they can walk down the street and not be detected. They are way ahead of us in medicine, agriculture, and still, I guess, presumably in technology. They know something we don't know, and that is every atomic bomb that is put off on Earth has an effect on other parts of the cosmos. They were concerned about it.
The solar eclipse might be the beginning of the end. At the exact same time as the eclipse, CERN will be activating a $4 billion machine to try and recreate the conditions of the Big Bang.
Findings were granaries with preserved seeds, tools made of copper indicating a lost art of hardening the metal, and various artifacts that pointed to a technologically advanced civilization. The complexity of the cave system with engineered passageways and rooms challenged contemporary understandings of ancient civilizations in North America. Kincaid's findings led to a Smithsonian expedition led by Professor S.A. Jordan, which further explored the cave system, uncovering a central chamber with a statue resembling Buddha, hinting at a cultural amalgamation or influence from distant lands. The artifacts and the layout of the caves suggested a deliberate, sophisticated design, contradicting the notion of an isolated or primitive local civilization. Despite significant discoveries, mainstream researchers and the Smithsonian have labeled the account as a hoax and dismissing the claims of an advanced civilization predating Native Americans in the Grand Canyon, and the possibility of ancient transoceanic contacts that might have influenced pre-Columbian American civilizations. Any and all attempts to further explore or validate Kincaid's findings face governmental restrictions, with areas off limits for exploration. This remarkable discovery aligns with local tribal legends, such as those of the Hopi, suggesting a historical basis for tales of ancient peoples and non-human entities emerging from the Grand Canyon, blending myth with tangible archaeological intrigue.
See, I told y'all it was gonna be some dope videos we was checking out, man. It was some head scratchers. It was some videos that made you think. The Titanic, all kind of stuff, man. We gonna continue checking out these videos, man. Y'all please continue liking. Y'all please continue sharing the videos, man. And I'm gonna keep getting back with y'all. So until then, man, y'all be safe out there. Y'all have a blessed day. And I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.